Hello, and welcome to episode 130. You can't see I'm doing this down here. I'm doing it down here. The extra washed out, extra wrinkly 130 episode of the Yarnivore podcast. I think I'll just jump right on in. I had to double check that I turned the light switch on. Because if I don't turn the light switch on, there's no power to the computer, and it starts running off its battery. And then when it's running off its battery, it gets cranky. You don't want that. I don't like that. My hair is horrible today. I know, I need to take care of this, right? Like, look at my tips. My tips are horrible. And, yeah, whatever. Whatever. You don't come, because I have beautiful tips. Although this weird little thing down here kind of bugging me. Kind of. I may have to cut that or something. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be on this side because this side is the longer side. Whatever. Whatever. You're not here to talk about my hair. You're not. You're here to talk about knitting and awesomeness. And I'm good with knitting and awesomeness. So, let's jump right on in. I did finish the driving mitts, but I can't show you them because they're off at work with my hubby. At least I assume they are. We thought he left them in the car, so I assumed they were left in the car. I haven't been able to find them in the house. I may have to knit a whole other pair of mitts if he can't find these, which is fine by me, but I think it's funny because usually I'm the one that loses stuff. Like, I would lose my head if it wasn't attached to my body. I would just leave it in a room and forget about it. I don't lose my wallet. I don't lose, generally, I don't lose anything that's in my purse, but I forget stuff. And it's like, I know exactly where it is. It's just not with me. So, usually that's me, not him. But whatever. And, I'm going to be drinking my coffee today, and I want to show you. I was going to put this in the miscellaneous, but I just have to show you right now, because I'm going to be drinking out of it all day. Netta sent me this. Yay! And it came, and I was so excited, and this is its inaugural drink, and it's full of skeletons. Actually, they're cachinas. They're Dia de los Muertos cachinas, and this is a Tervis cup, and I've never had a Tervis cup, so now I have a Tervis cup. It has a blue top, which kind of matches my hair, so we can segue there, but I love it. And it is for hot or cold beverages, so in the winter I can use it for hot, and in the summer I can use it for cold. And that's awesome. It's got skeleton. He has a mustache. She is playing the guitar. And this just makes me want to knit my socks even more. And this little guy over here, he's got some serious disco pants. Disco pants and a top hat. Like, how can you go wrong? You can't. I love this cup. And I love Netta. But she knows that. Hi, Frank. If you can't make the jump, you can't come in my lap. If you can't make the jump, you can't come in my lap. I'll just scritch you. So you've been watching my cat from hell. If you haven't seen it and you're like a cat freak like me, yes, always on the crinkly things, my dear. If you haven't seen it and you're a cat freak like me, you need to watch it. Because I'm pretty sure Jackson Galaxy is the coolest thing that ever happened to the universe. Okay. The fat one. The fat one is now in my lap. She's actually lost a little weight, so I'm very proud of her. But I've been watching it because the first couple seasons are on Netflix, which I have gotten since becoming an American. Because if you're in Canada, the Netflix is really limited, and it really kind of sucks. If you do the instant, and I'm just doing the instant, I'm not doing like I order DVDs or anything. That's not gonna happen. That's too much effort for me. I just want to open it up and watch random crap, so that's what I do. Because we don't do cable here. But I was watching, like, I saw it and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this, because what if it's like about like hurting animals or something? I'm always wary about animal shows, and then it was like, well, it's on Animal Planet. There's clearly no dead animals involved. I'll give an episode a try, and by the end of the first episode, I was like, Jackson Galaxy, oh my god, you are my man. I'm married, I'm very happily married, but you are the man. And I love the sparkly guitar. Although his facial hair does disconcert me, the little weird little zigzag thing, that's just a little too much effort on the facial hair for me. But everything else, like any guy who gets an embroidered shirt that says Cat Daddy on it, we should be friends. I would gladly be friends with Jackson Galaxy. Although, thankfully, he does not watch the podcast. Because I probably just embarrassed myself. But after having watched that, I moved my cat tower over so that the girls would have a better view of the out of doors. And that is definitely... It was in a corner before. And now that it's out... Hi, Bob. They go on it more. Beetle definitely does not want to go on the cat tree. She wants nothing to do with it. Frankie is about the first rung, because that's about as far as her little fat butt can get her. So, but they're happy. And we've been playing with some feather toys, trying to exercise the little ladies. Because clearly I've watched too much of it. I watched everything Netflix had, actually, because I'm nuts. Love the show. Okay. That was a little segue that didn't need to happen, but it did anyway. I'm recording at like 9 in the morning. I never record at 9 in the morning, but I've been up since 4. I have no idea. Well, actually, I have an idea why I was up at 4, but I won't get into it here. But I was up at 4, and I was like, okay, hubby's off to work. I guess I should gather things. So I gathered, and now I'm recording. Because recording wasn't happening yesterday. I needed a day off. And, we all know I have some weird health issues. They're not issues. I live in a different state of health than most people. So I needed my B12 shot yesterday, so I had to give it to myself, and that makes me kind of leggy and kind of stoned, so it's kind of weird to be around me in that state. So I wasn't going to record. So I didn't. And here I'm recording. A day late, a buck short. But I have finished objects. And you're going to laugh. Ready? Are you ready for this? Hold on. I'm such a tease. I'm like Claire in the Breakfast Club. And I can only use one hand right now. Thank you, Frank. I did this. This took me about 2 hours one night. Can you see this? Can you see? There is worry in my household over this, even though it's very poorly done. This is a cupcake from the Cupcake Crew by Brittany Jackson. We gifted last podcast. I decided I was going to give it a shot. And I had some Swish DK just kicking around from the Sally gloves, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm not going to be too adventurous. I'm not going to do the horn or the hat. Basically, I used the vampire pattern, and then I didn't put fangs on because I couldn't find felt. So he's an evil, maniacal cupcake. I don't know why it's a he, but it's a he. So this is basically the first crochet pattern I've done since I was 19-ish. That's not a washcloth. In fact, this is the first time I've ever used a crochet pattern. And it's very poorly done. I'm not even going to lie to you. Some of these scallops, I know I screwed up. These little scallopy things, some of them are wrong. Whatever. And the bottom, I know I screwed up the bottom. You can so see where I screwed up the bottom. And I had trouble keeping the front of the row, knowing where the front of the row was. But it was an excellent learning experience. And I think it's dang cute. I may have to crochet more. Having said that, I'll stick to the cupcake. If I crochet more, it's just going to be another bloody cupcake because these are so much fun. If you don't crochet often and you don't know how to crochet more than I do, and quite frankly, I don't really know. My mother taught me like 3 stitches and I don't even know what they're called, so I was kind of winging it from the get-go. But I think you can learn this just with a couple of YouTube videos. It took me about 2 hours to do altogether. Stuffing, everything. And then I couldn't find any safety eyes because I know I have them somewhere, but life is a mess. And I don't feel like cleaning it up, so I just embroidered on the eyes. You can see the join there. It's not the best join in the world, but you got your little scallops to hide that. I'm going to ignore that right now. I'm sorry, I should have turned that down. Oh well. So that was one other finished object, so the driving mitts and the cupcake. And if there's camera motion, I apologize. Frankie has decided that the computer is her friend. The other thing I finished, which is something I started, you haven't seen it yet, is a scarf. It is, I loosely used the Mini Mania pattern. And by loosely, I mean I looked at it and then I figured out what I wanted to do. The linen stitch is never going to change. It's always going to be the same stitch. And because these were mostly of a sport DK worsted, what have you, with some issues in between, I just figured out how many stitches I wanted to cast on and went from there. I used leftover bits of hand spun for this. That's what all of this is. I basically decided to do Roy G. Biv and then backwards. So yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, red. I don't really have any orange, so it didn't go into orange as much as yellow. And then I did some basic tan right in the middle, just to create a transitional point. And then I just did it backwards all the way out. And it's not all the same. Like, if I ran out, I just used something different. Because up here, I used this one, this really big one that caused all the bumping. I ran out of it after that, so I used different ones down here. It's a great way to use up teeny little balls of leftover hand spun, because you've hand spun it. You don't want to, and it's not blocked. After the blocking party of last week, I'm not going to block anything for a while, so don't expect anything to be blocked for me, just saying. It is really long. I made it nice and long. It's a little over my wingspan, which would be, what, 5'6"? So it's a little over 5'6", which is a perfectly sized scarf. I made a thinner one because I didn't want it to be a thicker scarf. You could easily do that. You could do the whole shebang. Usually I wear cowls or shawls. I don't usually do scarves, but the method to my madness for this was, I will knit this, and then I will block it probably sometime in November, and then I can use it as a Christmas gift. I don't know for who, I don't know why, but I can use it as a Christmas gift. And, you know, when you hand spin things, like when you have hand spun, and oh my god, like some of this is so old that when I was knitting it, I actually was in pain. Like, it hurt me to think. I'm coming down with something, so just be aware I may be a little nasally. It hurt me to think that I actually spun some of this, but then I realized, like, the second thing I ever spun is this one. Right there. That really horrifying single. First thing I ever spun. So, I didn't use the first thing I ever spun. I still have the first yarn I ever spun, and I actually did knit a hat out of it, but it got left behind at an ex's house, and let's just say, sometimes you just walk away and leave the hat where it is, and just say bye-bye, because it's better for your sanity. So, but I still have the ball, the leftover ball, and I just looked at it, and it was, like, horrifying. But you need that. You need to keep that, so you can look at it and go, look how far I've come. So, this is it's great to have around in case I need a Christmas present. I have 2 sister-in-laws and a butt full of family, so quite frankly, my thoughts right now, aside from enjoying knitting, are I need to knit stuff that I can constitute as Christmas presents, if need be. That is one of them. That's everything I finished. And quite frankly, 3 finished objects on me, that's a lot. That is a lot for me to have finished. Like, I don't usually finish that much. It was a busy week. I didn't sleep a lot. It was a weird week. There were ups and downs. Up being this cup. This cup is awesome. So, works in progress. bringing it all back to the knitting. I'll show you this one because this one's in another. See, I was going to throw this in the miscellaneous as well. I got this bag in the mail, and this is the awesome sock sack. It's got little stars on the inside, and it's got the baddies. I was really jealous when Essa Waters Steven got one of these, and I said so on Instagram, and tongue twister, Seashore Sharon, who is the maker of Bag Supreme, sent me one because I was jealous, and I have a bunch of bat tattoos, and she's a sweetie. So I'm excited, and immediately I was like, well, something needs to be in this. So my work in progress in this one is my Breaking Heart sock, and I actually found the label and brought it. It is Witch's Brew, which is a seasonal colorway. It's the fingering sock in the House Gnome, which is 75/25 superwash merino nylon. So there you have it. I may not remember that next time. I have done quite a bit of progress. I finished and I'm magic looping, so it's kind of like a gibble, but I finished the pattern portion of the leg. The pattern does say you do it on the heel. I don't do it on the heel. I never do it on the heel. Hold on. Listen here, large one. Down. That was a big thud, and she was fine. It says you can do it on the heel. I don't like having slip stitches on my heel, like an elongated slip stitch, because it will wear out faster, because I'm really bad on heels. Heels are my thing. Like, some people do the ball of their toes, some people do toes. Heels and toes are usually where I wear out the most, so I like to just go right back to this slip stitch, the basic slip stitch heel, because I find I get more wear last out of it as opposed to doing patterned heels. Did the turn, I'm in the gusset, I'm working down the gusset, so I'm pretty pumped. This is like, I wish you could tell that this is a lot brighter in person. It is like an electric green, yeah, that, like an electric green, an electric orange, and black, and it's awesome. So that is living in my bag. I am knitting it on US 1s 2.25 millimeters. My finished scarf I knit on a US 4.5 millimeter needle, which is what gave me the gauge that I wanted as far as that. And for crochet, I did this on the Swish DK, and I used a 3.5 millimeter hook. I don't know what that means in ABC whatever. Crocheters across the world are cringing. Whatever. I'm usually a knitter. I crocheted something. I deserve, like, some applause here. Dan Skippy, I want applause. I crocheted a thing. I made a thing. Okay. Now, other works in progress. In my awesome bag of Princess Bride awesomeness, I did a lot of work on the Aislinn sweater. And I was worried about how I was going to be able to show you that I had worked so much, except that I finished the left front. I was like, how am I going to explain this to people? And then I was like, I finished a ball and I finished a front. So here's the left front. There you have it. The left front is done, which means I have the right front, the sleeves, and the button bands left. I basically played a little bit of yarn chicken when I was finishing it, because that is all I have left of the third ball, or of the second ball, which is fine. So I did cake up some more balls in the Barocco Vintage. It's like colorway 394 or 393 or 3 something. It's red with a heathery hint of purple. I am knitting this on US 6 4mm needles. I'm using Chiagu's. I haven't cast on the right front because I need to watch the video tutorial for it when I do it, because of the tubular cast on. And I use the Zolda Teague one. So there you have it. That's an Amy Herzog pattern. Because it has gotten chilly here, I say chilly. It's pleasant. I don't think it's really that cold. It's not that cold to me. But I know to other people it would be. We haven't seen snow yet. I'd like to see some snow. There were little flakes, but they melted as soon as they hit the ground. So with no official snow on the ground, I feel comfortable saying it's still hoodie weather. So knitted sweaters are awesome. I have been using the Harvest Moon by Heidi Kermer. So I really want to see the Aislinn, whatever, finished. So I can wear it. I have no other goals except I want to wear it and be warm and have people go, oh, that's an awesome sweater. Where did you get it? And I can say I made it. And yeah. Or go to a yarn store and it's like, what pattern is that? I want that to happen. Really, with this sweater. So I am motoring on it. I will start the right front at some point this week. Who knows how long that'll take me. The fronts aren't just like that bad. The back was a bit of a slog because it was a crap ton of stockinette. But yeah, I imagine the sleeves are going to be a slog. I think the fronts will get done quickly, but then the sleeves I'll peter out on. And I'm debating elongating the sleeves. They're 3/4 length, which is great for my my body type, according to the Craftsy class and the Fit to Flatter book, because let's face it, I love Amy Herzog. And she looks like Maggie Gyllenhaal, which is also really awesome, as far as I care. My eyes went really big there, and I don't know why. Except that it's like, 9:30 in the morning. And the 3/4 sleeve makes sense in terms of my body. But in terms of practicality, I'm like, I'm going to have a cold spot from, like, here to here, and that's going to suck. And there's my tattoo. It's doing better now. Everything's healed, except without standing up and showing you my pajama pants, I can't really show you the tattoo. I Instagrammed it. You've seen it. It's my logo. And I didn't ask Annette before I had it tattooed, so I'm really glad she was happy about it. I just went and had it tattooed, and we added some depth. That was the other thing. This baddie, you can see he has more shading than on my logo. So, and that was just, that's what me and Andy decided, like, at the time. Because that's how we roll when we roll. So, Aislinn, whatever, Amy Herzog, great pattern. I recommend it to everyone. Debating on the lengthening of the sleeves just for practicality's sake, so I don't have that little bit of cold, and I don't want to have to wear... Oh, hold on. Really? I had an alarm set on my phone for 9:30 and it went off. I'm sorry. Won't go off again. The little bit... I don't want to have to wear fingerless mitts that are really high all the time. I don't want a bit of cold. Like, I know it's going to get cold. It's not going to get Canada cold, but I know it's going to get cold, so my consideration is less, this will make me look really sexy, and more, this will be really practical. It's generally how I think when I make sweaters anyway. So, my other work in progress, which has to be in the Halloween Amy Beth Fat Squirrel Speaks bag, which I adore, because I moved the socks, because they needed to be in the sock sack, because the sock sack needed to have a sock in it, and Halloween and baths, and I just had a vibe, I needed to move it, so I needed to put a project in this bag, and this project has a lot of stuff going on. Not even gonna lie to you, there's 7 balls of yarn involved here. And I'll bring up the pattern for you. Basically, I was looking for a pattern that... Why the crap is that there? That I can draw all over, apparently. Again, for some reason, I really feel the need to use up scrap. Because I hoard scraps like nobody's business. Well, yeah, I could probably end up on Yarn Hoarders if Yarn Hoarders was a show, and I think I would watch that show. And there was an episode of Hoarders that had a yarn hoarder on it, and that episode made me so sad. I think it was Hoarding Buried Alive, not Hoarders proper, but she had corded, like, a bunch of circular knitting needles and stuff, and a Swift and a ball liner, and she had this blanket that she had done, and it was like 3/4 of the way done, and they're like, oh, you should just give it up, because, you know, when are you going to have time to finish this, and do you really need 4mm needles? And I'm probably one of the few people in the world going, yes, she does, why are you making her do this? Like, it gave me an anxiety attack just thinking about it, because I know how many needles I have, like circulars, because you never know what you're going to need when you're going to need it, and then sometimes you buy more than one because, you know, you needed it for that project and you couldn't find the others because they were in works in progress, and it hurt me that they made her get rid of this stuff. So, Amy Beth, they have been on Hoarders. At least Buried Alive Hoarders, which, again, Netflix. I'm addicted to that show because it makes me clean. But basically, tangent, coming back to the point, I've been on the scrap using thing because I had done the scrappy shawl, or the scrappy scarf out of hand spun. I wanted to do other things that involved using up scrap within my stash, because it's not in my stash proper. Like, it's not in the Rav stash. It's considered all used up in Ravelry, because once I'm done with the project that it was intended for, it's done in my mind unless I need like a little bit of something. So, and I had put this in my queue a while back. Who's it by? Cherry Heart Designs. A Sandra Paul Cherry Heart original design. It's a free pattern, so I'm not hurting anything if I show it to you. It's called Riot. And that's the pattern right there. As you can see, I have a million things open. So be it. So, basically, it's a DK weight shawl that, and there's a little close-up of a bit of it, uses up random bits and bobs. It calls for 10 colors. I think she lists 10 in the color thing, but she also says you can use whatever you want, and you can basically use whatever weight you want. And because you're going out, you're knitting one row and knitting back down, and then you're cutting it to form the fringe, you can do whatever you want with it. So I had 7 colors left over from when I did the Sally mitts, as you may recall. And I decided, well, I'll just do this Riot shawl on 4mm needles, which I believe is a US 6, because apparently that is my size right now. So I'm doing it out of the leftovers. So there's a white, there's light blue, light green, yellow, pink, it's a tealy color, black and white. And I just finished the increases. Now I'm just leaving my fringe. I'm going to cut them so they're even when I'm all done, but right now I'm tying them as I go. So every time I tie 2 colors together, so every time I do 2 colors I tie it together. But yeah, it's kind of addictive. Not even gonna lie to you, it's kind of addictive, and I'm not sure how I feel about the color variation. It's a little rainbowy for me, and quite frankly, unless it's a goth rainbow, it's probably not my kind of rainbow. Love rainbows, love what rainbows stand for. Just don't wear them that often. And quite frankly, this may be a bit too much yellow to be putting near my face anyway. But, so, I have all 7 balls in here. And I think this is a large wedge, which just goes to show you how large the large wedge is. But I've got the 7 balls I need, and I can fit my project in there. So, what are my colors here? I've got Mariana, and I wrote numbers on them so I know which way in order they go. I think I'll get to the middle point and then I'll invert the colors on the other side so it's mirrored. I don't know. It depends on if that's too much effort in my mind. I've got Peapod. I've got Canary. Black and white, of course. Lotus. And Big Sky. And I have a ball of each of those. The cupcake I did was also out of the Swish DK, but this is Bordeaux, and I was pretty much done with the Bordeaux. I have a teeny little ball, so I don't think that that's going to make it into this shawl. But, yeah, I like it. I like it. I like the fringe. Swish is a great yarn as far as, like, I mean, good economical yarns go. Knit Pick Swish DK is a good one. There's the back side. So it's just a garter shawl. It's easy. It's free. I totally recommend checking it out. That is my last work in progress, because apparently I need a million things on the needles at all times. I have to switch legs. Sorry. Can't have one falling asleep. And I know I'm sipping. I'm not used to this cup. So if I'm slurping and that's annoying you, I'm sorry. I really am. Notice I apologize and then I take a sip of my coffee. Ha! Spinning. I have done a little bit of spinning. Oh god, I hate that look. Whatever. It's more comfortable to have it behind my ears, even if it makes me look like poo. So, this is the second Rollag. I'm about halfway done, and you guys saw the first one last week. I've been dyeing up a storm, but not necessarily dyeing that I can spin and weight with. And that is, let me just grab my tag, Happy Halloween number 2 by HR Knits Rollags, which is, there's the Etsy shop, SCHNUEFFELTIER. And I'm using, this is 76 grams of a merino linen Angelina. Enjoying the snot out of it. And here's my finished one. Here are my remaining 4. And I'm going to apply them on the wheel. Now don't forget, we do have a coupon code. If you go to that Etsy shop, you get 15% off. And that's only till Halloween, so it ends this week. So make sure you go and get some for 15% off. And the code is capital S, capital A, capital D, capital I, capital E. So capital Sadie, 15, 15% off. Yay! And I got my Spunky Club. I didn't bring it in here, so I'll show that to you next week. The colorway is Geisha. It's, I believe, a Cheviot. And I'm excited to spin it. I've never spun that stuff. It could be in the new to you spin along. Actually, I've done a lot that's new to me. I feel like I should be like more involved in the yarn raising new to you. With Spinzilla, I did a lot of stuff that was new to me. Finn. I don't think I had spun Finn. I don't know. But I know that, like, I mean, it was new to, a lot of it was new to me. Mind blank. Sorry. So some of the stuff I've been dyeing, I'm hoping to have a shop update next week. All will be explained next week. But some of the stuff I've been dyeing that I feel I should show you because, you know, y'all want to see this stuff. I did more Master Seaman because that one is in high demand. I did more of the Mars DK, which is the red DK. I did make another color. This is Jupiter. That's probably the right color right there. It is a shaded solid. It's a shaded green. And if you haven't guessed that the DK weights are named after Sailor Moon, I just told you. Mercury, Mars, Jupiter. I have to figure out what Sailor Moon's going to be. Quite frankly, I don't want to do a yellow. But we'll see. So there's that. And there's a new colorway, which I'm super pumped about. This one. And ignore my bad twisting job. The colors are not showing up properly on here. They're just not going to. There are 2 different shades of green, a shade of teal, and a shade of purple, and a pink, with a black and a white. And this is called, and you're going to laugh, right? Are you going to ready to laugh? You're friends with someone I hate. I think of it as the companion to You Look Better on Facebook. You're friends with someone I hate. There should be a third one called "You Shouldn't Get That Drunk in Public." But everyone's got one, you know, where you're like, you're friends with someone I hate. But this just seemed right for that. So there you have it. And I love it, and it's gorgeous. I imagine it's going to knit up, like, insanely pretty. Like, insanely pretty. I'll have some of that for the shop. Shop update. But seriously, just, there's so much going on in this skein. I can't even, like, you can't pick up the shade of green that's in here. It's very light. It's like right in here. But, yeah, totally dig it. Totally want to keep it for myself. I'm not even going to lie to you. I want to keep it for myself. So those are some of the new colorways that have been done up. I'm excited about them. I'm also going to do, hold on to your hats, kids. There will be Gilmore Girls stripy socks in the next update, which won't happen this week, probably next week. The end of next week we're looking at, probably, I think. Maybe? I don't know. Probably. Watch the Knitter's Nightmare board, of course, because that's where I always post when there's going to be shop updates and what's going to be in them. But I have been working on Gilmore Girls stripes. They debuted at Knitter's Palette because they were in such high demand. So there is I'm Smad and Razquat for sure. There's going to be a Sexy Squash. So there will be stripy Gilmore Girls colorways, because I know when I did the fiber, everyone was, not everyone, but a lot of people were asking me, when are you going to do stripes in the Gilmore Girls? And they're coming. You wanted them. They're coming. That was a pretty big deal for me, because apparently I make big deals out of small things. Which brings us to the end, and I just wanted to say, and I haven't recommended music in a while, and I know I've recommended this before, but in lieu of yesterday with the passing of a great rock legend, I'm going to re-recommend you listen to some Lou Reed and some Velvet Underground. Lou Reed passed away yesterday, I believe, at the age of 71. He gave us great songs like Walk on the Wild Side, Satellite of Love, the most sad album in the universe, Berlin, and let's not forget the Velvet Underground, Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll. Just a very influential musician on the whole for anybody who's into music, and it's a sad thing that he's gone. The great thing that he was here. So do listen to some Lou. Spare a thought for him, or prayer, or whatever you choose to do. That was sad to find out. We lost one of our rock legends, but you know, that happens. Life happens. And I am Blue Ruin on Ravelry. We shoot stars on Plurk. I'm not there very often, so I apologize if you're trying to get a hold of me on there. It takes forever for me to actually check in. I am City Ruin on Instagram, City Ruin on Twitter. Yeah. Join the Universe group, because we rock, and there's a bunch of knit-alongs going on. There's going to be a hand-related one, so like fingerless mitts, etc., in November. And I will see everybody next week.